Hi, Priscilla.
Hi, Jonathan. Thanks for sending over.
And thank John again for hosting this and helping a lot of townspeople and town officials with IT questions from the Zoom age this week and every week for the last while. So first thing on our agenda is approval of minutes, March 16th, 2021. And March 29th, 2021. That's March 16th and 29th. Is there a motion to approve?
I so move.
I second.
There- Second? Any discussion?
No.
Nope.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next, we have communications. I have one from the highway department. We have started resurfacing roads. We did Allen Road and part of Cream Hill, the backside of Cream Hill today, headed towards Cornwall Bridge. So people in those areas, especially the hills in Cornwall Bridge, can expect some road work there this week. And hopefully will be finished in the next day or so. And there shouldn't be any major delays of people getting in and out of their houses. So again, that's started this week, road resurfacing, Cornwall Bridge and some other areas.
Oh, yeah, she had a
So-
personal shopper or something.
So John, can you mute everybody except for the board?
Yeah, I'm trying to do that.
Okay, great, thank you. Next is addition to the agenda. Are there any additions to the agenda?
Not from me.
Okay. Priscilla, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. And
Good.
the only thing I would say about additions to the agenda, we've had so many emails in the last day or so about the bridge work that
Yes.
is being done, that I think we should give that somewhere in our agenda.
It's on our
Yes.
agenda.
Yeah, that's a number 4, summer bridge work. So we'll,
Oh, okay, great. Thank
right,
you.
so we definitely will,
All
we
set.
will get there on that. Yeah, okay. Great, so next thing is COVID-19 coronavirus update. Again, we're working hard to make sure people have access to vaccines with pretty good success. If people have not get vaccinated, I would encourage them to do so. There are still some vaccination spots available at Sharon Hospital, and Jen Markow is the one that can coordinate that. Also, people should know there still is a significant increase of coronavirus, especially among young people who haven't been vaccinated. And now there's a new mutant that showed up in California, a double mutant combination thing that the CDC is very concerned about. So again, we're not out of it yet, but we hope to have more
Sorry,
activities.
Excuse me, Gordon, sorry, I think we skipped the public comment period that usually opens the meeting.
The public comment is at the end of this meeting.
You're changing the procedure that normally happens at Board of Selectmen meetings?
Yes, because we have a very busy agenda and we'll have time for public comment at the end. Thank you.
Thank you.
So back to the COVID-19 coronavirus. Again, Jen Marco's been doing a great job lining people up with vaccinations. And I would like to read a message from Margaret Cooley, who's chair of the Women's Society. And this is rummage sale news. The group thought it would be great if you announced tonight that the Women's Society has reluctantly decided once again that it's not possible to run a traditional rummage sale safely. That way, the official word is out in the context of the rest of the town's plans. It would also be nice if you could say that the great minds are at work on possible non-traditional ways of helping Cornwall recycle while raising money necessary to fund grants for the 2021 high school graduates. That last bit is certainly not your job, but just if you have the inclination. Thank you. And again, they are talking about a townwide tag sale of some type to try to raise money for that project. And again, it is unfortunate to be in a situation where we're not able to have a lot of the town celebrations, which are an important part of the town social life and social cohesion. But we are looking to try to scale back some of these events and have them in a safe way. So again, more on that later. Again, I'm trying to work with a little guild on some of their events. I know the library is having some small events. And again, we'll talk about Memorial Day, new ideas on that, because again, that's one of our important town events. So now next we have the April 23rd town meeting call. And I think the board has that. I'll read it to everyone who's listening. And again, thanks for everybody stopping in and seeing what we're doing. We do have a full agenda tonight of a lot of different issues that we hope to be able to update you and move forward on. This is the town meeting, which the selectmen will sign. And it says electors and citizens qualified to vote at town meetings of the town of Cornwall are hereby notified and warned that a special town meeting will be held on Friday, February 23rd, 2021 at 7:30 p.m. via Zoom virtual meeting. To receive reports, the item number 1 is to receive reports, boards and commissions having reports to make and review the annual town report of 2019-2020. Item number 2 is to adopt a 5-year capital plan for the town of Cornwall as recommended by the Board of Finance and the Board of Selectmen. Item 3 is shall the town of Cornwall sell to William Betts for $500 a plus or minus 0.2 acre parcel of land on Route 128 on which a firehouse was formerly located as recommended by the Board of Selectmen and the Board of Finance. And item 4, shall the town of Cornwall amend the ordinance of 10/22/81 that established the Sidney K Fund by closing the fund and transferring the remaining balance of approximately $18,897 to the town endowment fund as recommended by the Board of Selectmen and the Board of Finance. The annual budget town meeting for the proposed 2021-2022 municipal budget will follow. And again, I make a motion that we approve this call and sign it and get it in the newspapers as required and hold the meeting then. And again, people can register here at the selectman's office to be included in that meeting. So is there a second to signing this town meeting call?
Second.
Is there any discussion?
No.
No? Okay, so all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Next, the other thing we need to do is make a motion to send out the return of notice, which we also sign whenever we have a town meeting. And that just says that we will publicize the town meeting and put the warning and notice in the Waterbury Republican as required by law. Okay. Thank you, John, for showing us all these documents. Okay, so is there a second to sign the return of notice?
I second that.
Any discussion?
Just to
All in
say,
favor?
Jonathan, I'll come to the town hall tomorrow to sign the paper.
Great. Yes. And we also have something to sign on item number 5 too. So that would be good to get all those signatures in place. Next, we have item 3, which is April 12th, which is next Monday, Cornwall Bridge Traffic Forum. We're planning to send out reminders and invitations to everyone who has emailed the board with their thoughts, concerns, plans, and encourage them to make a brief talk at this forum. And again, Rick Lynn from the Council of Governments is going to be on hand because he has a long history in traffic planning. And the major thing with this is there is no approved budget for this. There is no approved plan. Rick will go into details as far as the DOT history with looking at the traffic patterns in Cornwall Bridge. The main focus here is to how might the state reconfigure things to slow traffic down while maintaining safe access for the residents and businesses there. And obviously that's a complicated project. There's going to be many different opinions, but we felt the first thing to do was to hear from people who live and work there and go there on a regular basis. So there is no major plan at this point, and we are open to people's suggestions as far as what might be some good ideas to carry forward on a probably very long process. So anyway, that's next Monday night, forum on traffic, Cornwall Bridge. Next item is number 4, summer bridge work. And what I would like to do is split this issue into 2 sections. We have, as we know, we're in the middle of a bridge rehabilitation program, and we have rebuilt quite a few bridges, but also we have some more to do. There are 4 small bridges that we would like to redo this summer. Again, this is just restoration and maintenance work. These 4 bridges there's 2 small ones on Popple Swamp Road before you get to West Road. And there's one on West Road, which if people may not remember that name, but West Road is a road, this very short road that connects Popple Swamp with Route 4 down past the soccer field. There's a bridge there that goes over Bloody Brook. And the 3 bridges in that general area are all old, probably over 60 or 70 years old. They're laid up stone, and the main project for those bridges is to redo the concrete masonry around the rocks, basically repoint the rocks. There's not going to be any alterations to the bridges other than basically doing masonry work and clean out some of the stream channels on either side of the bridge, some of the brush and things like that. So there is so it's basically 3 small bridges that just have had need some maintenance so they can last another long period of time. And they seem to be, other than some work like that, in good shape. So the other bridge we're looking at to complete our bridge work is the bridge on Music Mountain Road. The town of Cornwall does own a bridge on Music Mountain Road. Most people think, and I thought that Music Mountain was a Falls Village Road, but the town of Cornwall actually owns about 500 feet of it. It's the far northern boundary of the town, and including that is a very nice stone bridge that is also very old, but is also in very good shape. And what we're proposing to do with that is to dig up the asphalt and put down a membrane to keep the salt and chemicals that sometimes leach down through the asphalt into the bridge superstructure and corrode a bridge superstructure and make it have to be replaced sooner than if it didn't have a membrane. So those are our 4 small bridges that we're talking about as far as a maintenance program. And then we can talk about the Cogswell Bridge, I think separately, because that has its own set of issues. Roger Kane, who may join us later, he proposes to do this using a state bid process. The state has a restoration contract the contractors in the district bid on. So this is going through the state bid process, and they do things, and it's mostly concrete work. And so it's so much an hour for the tools and equipment and operators and things they have to do. So he feels for this fairly small project, tapping into the state bidding process would be the best way to go. And as this bid has already been put out for this construction season, we're not in any hurry. I don't know if there's any questions, if anyone wants to talk to Roger about that. But again, he reemphasized this is basically just doing maintenance work on these bridges, no structural changes to them. And it's basically just putting a lot of the rocks, pointing up the rocks and things with concrete in between, so they hold in there. So any questions, comments, thoughts from the board on these 4 bridges that we'd like to do this summer? Do you want
So
to vote?
sorry to clarify, for the 3 bridges, not Cogswell Bridge, he wants to go out to bid to the state based on plans that we have.
So what he has is he wants to use the state bid. The state goes out because they have even more than we do. They go out to bid every year to contracting companies that's all they do is maintain bridges. So there's per unit prices for everything you could ever possibly do to a bridge. And in this case, it's mostly concrete work.
Understood. So are there, to go out to bid, I would assume there is a scope of work.
So I think we can ask him what he feels the scope of work is. There is talk of, there was all these bridges, and what I could do for next meeting, what I probably should have done, and that's a good question, is all these bridges are listed and reviewed in the state bridge, in the town's bridge inventory. The report to Leonard has all these bridges with pictures and comments about their deficiencies and what needs to be done.
Right.
And we can actually put numbers on the projects. And again, I looked at these bridges with Jim, the 3 small ones in the Popple Swamp, East Inner area. And it's pretty obvious what they all need to do. But again, we have time, and I think some details, are all good. I could ask Roger.
Roger just entered the meeting.
Yeah, I would like to, that would be good to see, I think.
Okay, scope of work.
Just,
Bridge.
scope of work,
yeah.
and whatever plans we have.
Yeah.
I think we should see that before any further discussion.
Okay. No problem, but I wanted to get the concept out there. Instead of us going out to hire a contractor, we would use people that are already engaged by the state that are doing this in the area, in Litchfield County or in the area. It seemed like it made a lot of sense. It's a lot of small work, more than it's any big stuff. And again, I think we could have a detail of for each bridge, its number, its picture, and what we are going to do.
Sounds
Okay.
good.
All fine. So general support for the project, but we need some details.
Correct.
Good. Okay, good. Yes, on to Cogswell Road. We have mentioned in previous meeting the willingness to look at some of the details on the Cogswell Bridge, including the top railing and the perhaps painting the guardrail. We probably will do some guardrail work and burying the end on the northeast corner of the 4 guardrail sections. We have gotten some letters on this. And the thing, again, they were talking about wanting some more time, and time, we have time. Most of the work's been done there. We're not in any rush. And again, I think this project can either be done with whoever we hire to do the other bridges, or even state forces can, or town forces can install a new top rail. I did talk to Ian Ingersoll over the weekend, and he liked the idea of putting in a wooden, locally milled top rail. But we have some time on that. I did also try to get some information, which I have not got, but I've played some phone tag on whether it is possible to successfully paint galvanized steel. There's some discussion of how that works or doesn't work. Yeah, and again, I think we have done most of the work that is going to be done there. Questions came up, are there any major bridge projects in the works? And again, I think after we do these 5 bridges we've talked about tonight, that will complete our bond. We have 3 in Popple Swamp, 1 Music Mountain, 1 Cogswell. A revisit to Cogswell. So there'll be 4 bridges we're redoing, and we're revisiting 1 bridge. So once we work on those 5, that will be most of the work that needs to be done. To reiterate, the WPA bridges up on Cream Hill Road seem to be in good shape. We rehabbed them about 20 years ago. So there's no plans to do anything there. Probably looking down the road, so to speak, 10 years away. The 2 culverts seem to be the next projects the town will have to do at some point. And that would be culverts at the intersection of Rattlesnake and Cream Hill Road. Those are roughly 50-year-old pipes. And there's also one at the entrance of the Cream Hill Lake Association. The outlet of the lake goes underneath the pipe. The Scoville's cows use it for getting from one side of the road to the other. And that pipe is the same age. So at some point, probably those are the next 2 projects. And I think it's likely the town at this point would sort of replace in kind with a pipe. We had pretty good success doing that on Lake Road. Last year, under Roger's direction, we replaced the pipe there, and it worked really well. It's much less expensive than doing a bridge, and it's probably less impact. So again, those are sort of our major look at bridges, and we will continue on this topic till we get more details. Any thoughts from the board on more bridges, Cogswell Bridge, other bridges?
No, I think we take our time with Cogswell and continue to receive community input. I think structurally we're sound right now, so
Yeah,
I don't want to jump the gun into like painting it, for example, without really looking into alternative options. So if we can continue to work on that, I think that's a good path forward.
idea. I did also hear from people who felt the bridge is fine the way it is. So there is going to be a variety of opinion, and I'm sure there'll be a variety of opinion on paint color and a few other things. But again, we've got time to look at things, and we want to do it right.
Yes, I agree.
And yeah, so I think we're good on that. Anything else on summer bridge work?
Not for me.
Okay, coming up. Yes. So then item number 5 is West Cornwall Wastewater grant and schedule. We have been working hard at the town hall to submit a grant application, which is due by the end of this week. Jonathan has been working hard getting the information pulled together, and we're able to use the engineering work that was done by WMC. We're able to use a redone explanatory text with the help of Lisa Samant. And we've gotten over 20 letters of support, which are really good. So Barbara's been coordinating those letters of support. I worked up a draft for the Board of Selectmen. Did you both get a copy of that? It says draft April 7th. Again, I don't have any pride of authorship, but I tried to hit the high points, which I will read. It says April 7th, community project funding request. Dear Congresswoman Hayes, the town of Cornwall is pleased to submit our grant application under Community Projects Funding Program. The community has been studying the most efficient way to bring a state-of-the-art wastewater management system to the village of West Cornwall since 2016. Currently, there are many buildings in the village with systems that do not meet the current health code, mostly because of their close proximity to each other. There are some buildings in the village, like the proposed library, that have no septic system. Others cannot function fully as businesses or residences due to septic issues. The town, with assistance of a grant from Connecticut DOT via the Northwest Hills Council of Governments, has hired WMC engineers who have come up with a realistic plan to solve this problem. WMC engineering and environmental reports are available through the web links below. You can read the many different letters that we have gathered in support of this project. Also, in July of 2019, the Cornwall Town Meeting voted 164 to 43 in favor of the town applying for USDA for assistance. The project has been deemed eligible for a USDA grant, but we would match, but we hope this new grant would provide increased funding. A town vote proposed for this summer would match 75% of the federal construction fund with 25% local funds. Thank you for your help and consideration for this very worthwhile project, which will have benefits far beyond our village's borders. So are there any additions, corrections to that letter? I would like us all to sign it when you come in to sign the town meeting call tomorrow. Any thoughts on that? Any changes?
I think it looks good.
Okay, thank you. So then I wanted to take just a minute, and I think what we'll also do is the grant application will go up on the town website with these 23 at last count letters of support, and those letters include Cornwall residences, Cornwall business owners, Cornwall assessor, Cornwall Board of Finance, Cornwall Senior Housing, Cornwall Conservation Trust, Cornwall Economic Development Committee, Cornwall Housing Corporation, Cornwall Planning and Zoning, Housatonic River Commission, Housatonic Valley Association, 64th District State Representative Maria Horn, Northwest Conservation District, Northwest Hills Council of Government, Torrent Area Health, West Cornwall Village Improvement Association, West Cornwall Library, and West Cornwall Wastewater Committee Chair. So it's a wide variety of letters, and I won't read them all, but I thought a couple were really important. And as we go through this issue, I think having these different organizations, many of whom deal with issues presented, I think it will be good to have them on file. This is from Kathy Weber from the Torrent Area Health District. Dear selectmen members, this letter is supportive of a proposed wastewater treatment facility to serve West Cornwall Village. Torrent Area Health District has served the town of Cornwall since 1980, and several of us has worked on most of the properties in the West Cornwall Village due to septic system or well issues. The properties in West Cornwall Village are mostly small and cannot accommodate a code compliant septic system and well. We have been forced to put in several non-compliant septic systems throughout the village, requiring special permits from the State Department of Health. for exceptions due to limited space. Several septic systems had to be put on properties other than those served, and also with special exceptions from the state health department. The septic systems in West Cornwall Village have limped along and with many patches, but there will be a breaking point. The Torrent Area Health District wholeheartedly supports a wastewater treatment facility. And again, we'll put these up on the website so everybody can read them. They're quite varied in what they say from different angles, but again, we should be ready to go. Our board's the last board to do that. I have talked to Congresswoman Hayes' office, and they are going to work with us to make sure our application is well received. And their schedule is, we should hear whether we make the first cut. There's 10 programs or 10 projects to be selected from the 40 towns in the 5th Congressional District. They've already had letters of interest from 15 towns. So that first round is competitive. But we should hear within 2 weeks whether we made the first round or not. And it may take until June to find out whether the Appropriations Committee of the United States Congress has voted in favor of this. So anyway, but that would result in major increased funding for this project. So time out for the dogs to bark. Jane just came home from an ambulance call, and the dogs are hungry. I think they're done. All right. So I think anything else on West Cornwall?
No, that sounds good.
Okay, great. Okay, so now we have a new item. This is a presentation. And I appreciate their patience as we got through our budget and other agenda things we had to deal with earlier in the season. Is Nell Nicholas with us tonight?
Yes, I
So-
saw you there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's good.
So the board has received a request that the town consider installing a racquetball court at Footfields. And we have a bunch of information, which again, we probably should post up on the town website to look at this. And I don't want to speak for the group proposing this. Basically, these things are an elevated platform, a heated platform as part of their appeal. So they can be played on during the wintertime. So the cost is $107,000, which the group is proposing to split with the town. We could say right away that there's no money in the budget at this point for this project, and we are at the beginning. But you have to start somewhere, and I appreciate their enthusiasm. So Nell, do you want to give us a little pitch or introduction?
Sure.
Personalize this project a little bit?
Sure. Thank you
Yeah.
very much for allowing me to join the agenda. I know you've got a full agenda, so I won't spend too much time, and maybe we can have a little Q&A, whatever you feel is appropriate for us to spend time talking about the program. Just a quick note, Gordon, you had referenced 107,000 for the court. That's just for the court. If you look at the proposal that I sent to the selectmen in December, the total cost is 133,000, because on top of the 107, we have to add propane tank and electricity to it. Since December.
Now, isn't it table tennis, not racquetball? Gordon mentioned
It's actually,
racquetball, but you mean table tennis.
It's actually paddle tennis. We're proposing a paddle tennis court, but this court that we're planning to put in would be multi-use. So it's a paddle tennis court that would be built, and then we would put pickleball lines on the surface. So in the summertime, or I suppose any time of the year, pickleball could be played. And Todd Piker had mentioned at one point to me that he was interested in using this for the very junior tennis program, because the court is surrounded by chicken wire. It's enclosed, outdoors and enclosed. So it would be great for young children to be able to learn tennis. But paddle tennis is a sport that mainly takes place in the fall, winter, and spring. It's a safe outdoor recreation. I think it would be a very nice amenity for Cornwall. We have done some very initial site work at Foot Field. There's a flat area there that would not require too much site work to put it at Foot Field. You may recall that there is an electric panel already there, so that would save the cost on that. This idea has been born out of a number of us in Cornwall that play in Lakeville at the Grove. And in the past year, it's been very difficult to find court time. The sport has become incredibly popular, and there are enough Cornwall residents that have expressed an interest in having a court in Cornwall. And I'd like to sort of mirror the program that Lakeville has at the Grove. If anybody is familiar with that, basically the town built the court for the town, and then there was a membership association that managed the court operations, from maintenance to the reservation system, et cetera. Understood that Cornwall is not in a position to pay for the entire court. We're asking the Cornwall Paddle Association is asking the town to pay for 50% of the cost, or $66,000, and the association, Paddle Association, will pay for the other half through fundraising efforts. It's a safe outdoor activity for all age groups. The 3 separate racket sports that can be accommodated on the court, we think makes it a versatile amenity. And we're also hoping that we're going to draw from other towns to increase membership. So not just Cornwall as well. So I think at that point, maybe I'd just like to open it up, and if there's some Q&A. On the call, I have here with me Mary Kay Elwell and Alice Gottesman, who have been working with me on getting this research done for you, and we're happy to provide anything else that you may need. And I'd love to learn about the next steps from the selectmen on how to make this a reality.
Great. Well, thank you, Nell. Appreciate your research. Any questions from the board? I have a few.
I like it because I think it's a positive move forward and would be attractive to many people in town. How to finance it's another question, but I do like the idea very much. Thank
Yeah,
you.
I
Nell.
agree. I mean, I think especially in the COVID era, like, it was so interesting to see the utilization of Hammond Beach this summer, which is like such a small space, right? And it was utilized, I think probably the most it's ever been utilized. And so I think more recreational spaces are definitely welcome, but I agree with the financing issue. We'll have to look into that further.
Just to note, the Grove, the Lakeville Paddle Association there, they doubled in membership this past year.
Mm-hmm.
And then just nationwide, the American Paddle Tennis Association has grown by 23% nationwide. So that gives you a little bit of, information about how popular this sport is becoming, not only locally in the Northeast, but also nationwide.
And can I ask, so the Grove is So how does membership work there in terms of utilization of the courts?
The Paddle Association drives membership, and they work in concert with Park and Rec. So the Paddle Association finds the members. It is a $90 per year per family membership. The checks go to Lakeville Park and Rec. And what I believe in terms of the nuts and bolts is that the Paddle Association manages the court maintenance and will give the bills to Cornwall Park and Rec, because that's where, you know, the dues are housed for the annual maintenance.
Okay, thanks.
Makes sense.
Great, because there is some, so from my understanding that there is a significant amount of propane involved, because you got it looks like they melt all the snow off the court. Is that what the propane does for you? What happens? It looks like
Yes,
there's $10,000 of propane.
Yeah,
there, so-
not exactly. Well, the propane, I have an estimate of $5,000 for the actual installation of the propane.
Yeah.
I have research, not at my fingertips, but I'll give it to you on approximate amounts of propane usage. It's not used that often. When it snows, we have to shovel the snow off. The propane is only turned on when a layer of thin ice, which can happen when snow melts, but it's cold outside. It's a metal platform. So a thin ice can get on the surface. So the propane is there only to melt that little ice layer after you've shoveled the snow.
Right. In other words, you're not, am I muted? You're not using it to heat yourself while you play.
And you're
So
not
just
using
for
it to
ice.
melt the snow. You shovel the snow.
You get those young players to shovel the snow. That'd be good. Yes.
Thank you,
So,
Mary Kay.
so another question was that I've got to look into, because we have a site plan, because we got a special permit to put in the ball fields there. So, and I remember some discussion about lighting down there, and we said we weren't going to have any lights. So we want to we have to see how that fits into what we have gotten permission for at this point. And just thinking way outside the box, we were supposed to have a presentation about a Cornwall Dog Park. And I know they're not necessarily the same thing at all, but again, it's sort of a somewhat similar in that you have a group of people that are saying, how about this? And is there a possibility to combine the two or whatever? Or it sounds like there's going to be a push for more recreational activities. And then the other question, I guess, too, is then are you committed to just that site? If we had another site in town that we could find that might work for whatever reason, the total site area of this platform wouldn't be huge. The advantage of foot field is you have parking there.
Yeah.
But if there's other sites that might work too.
Okay. Well, let me go back. We do have CAD drawings for it, but nothing in relation to the site. The court builder has not come to Cornwall yet to take a look at it. I thought we needed to have this meeting first to make sure it can be a reality before I have people driving hill and dale to take a look at the site. The lights are affixed to the court. So our lights would not necessarily light something else that would be happening at foot field. And we like the foot field location because, first of all, it's right on the road. We have parking, it's flat, and it's sort of, it's coming together as a nice recreational area between the soccer, basketball, Little League hopefully is coming back. So we think it just makes a really nice town recreation center, but we're totally open to other areas. We just thought this would work really well with the electricity right there and being, right by the road. So if that's another conversation about other locations, we're happy to engage in that conversation.
Yeah. So
Was there a third question there, Gordon?
was there a third question? I think that's
that
That's
you
it.
that
It's
we're
like-
asking about that. That's it. Okay.
Again, I might go up to the Grove and take a look at, see what this is. But again, I think at this point, we can't promise you it's a reality, but I think the board is definitely interested in this idea and expanding some offerings. The money thing, we have to look at things, and of course, right now, we're looking at the, the West Cornwall issue at this point. So we would have to look at how, what our reserves are, and if we get more grant, I'm just thinking out loud, which is dangerous, but if we get more grant money for that, that might free up some reserves to do some recreation or quality of life things in another part of town. So I'm not sure is that enough information for you at this point, or?
Yeah, I guess, when will you know about that grant so we can?
We should know this summer.
Yeah.
I mean, we should know by June. So
Okay,
again,
great.
and then, well, again, we have to do some legwork. Are you thinking of the area between the road and the basketball court?
Yes, but down a
Good.
little bit so the lights are not shining exactly into the old Lesur's house.
Right, because again, we're conscious of neighbors
Yes.
and things, and so I want to sort of think about that too.
And also, when we had brought this to the board or Park and Rec some years ago, there was a concern about light pollution. So we're thinking that we would just have the reservations be completed by, say, 8 p.m. So there would be no lights after 8 p.m.
And I even think that's pretty generous. I mean, right now, the courts over in Lakeville, and there's 2 of them, are booked chock-a-block 7 days a week, from starting at 8:30, and it usually wraps up by 7. I think it's pretty rare that court time. So we could curate that however we needed to.
Right.
Okay.
But most of the play is during the daylight hours.
One other little project that might be good is so you're talking about having a subscription or something where people would get a pass for $100. If you could just get a list of people that have expressed an interest to us, that
Sure.
would be helpful as we go forward with this.
Sure.
Because it is significant. So anyway, I appreciate this, and next time up in Lakeville, I'll pop over there and play a game, maybe.
Let's go together.
That's good. You can show me how it's done.
Okay, great.
All right.
Well, if we're
Right.
completed, I'm going to sign off. Thanks again for letting
Okay.
us participate.
Thanks, Nell.
Thank you. All right.
Okay, bye-bye.
You're in the hopper. Thank you. Okay. So next, we have dog park. The dog park had another obligation, so we're going to hold on that for the time being until the presenter can join us. Next, I had cybersecurity insurance. We've talked about this as our insurance agency, Kerma, said that the reality is this is an increasing problem. We already get security alerts on a weekly basis of potential hacks and malware and things. So what this isn't so much, well, it's partially insurance from damages. I believe we sent the board a draft quote. What they're looking at, they're going to get us a 14-month policy, so we can actually buy that this year effective May 1st. And the biggest thing this gets us is some consultation, also looking at our systems and making sure the town and the school have systems that are as virus-free and protected as possible. So that's the recommendation. We don't have any details at this point, but it will be probably about $8,000 for a year's worth of insurance, which isn't currently covered completely by Kerma's insurance liability. So any thoughts on that? We'll get you more details probably for our next meeting. Any thoughts on cyber insurance?
Nope.
Okay, so we'll stay on that. Next, we have Optimum update. I thought it was a very good forum. The Internet Committee sponsored last week. I did have a follow-up conversation with Esme Leonard, who is their Vice President for Governmental Affairs. And she did reaffirm to me the statement that Optimum is scheduling this area to be wired with fiber optics in the 22-23 construction season, same as the Litchfield area. So that is big news. And again, I plan to check in with them on a regular basis to see what that progress is. And again, we're going to keep working on cell coverage, increasing that. And I already have heard from some Cornwall residents who are getting their emails dropped in the middle of the transmission. So I forward those particular addresses, and in one case, very detailed records of what had happened. Also, this particular resident said there is software you can install to track your internet service and its interruptions. So that may be going on. So anyway, there are a couple of interesting developments there. So any other comments on the Optimum fiber optics?
Sounds good.
Okay. Next, we have a grant authorization extension. As you probably know, the town has a grant for $10,000 to help us plan for housing. And this is a requirement that each town have a housing plan. We have a committee that is partway through its work. We have a housing forum scheduled for May 24th. Details to follow. But again, like a lot of things, we're taking our time with this proposal, and the original grant ran to June 30th. So the latest authorization would run through the end of this year. So, so here's the resolution that the state wants us to have in order to extend our grant. Resolved that the Board of Selectmen has accepted the planning grant funds to prepare and adopt a affordable housing plan under provisions 8-30 of the Connecticut General Statutes. Further, resolved that Gordon Midway, as first selectman of the town of Cornwall, is authorized and directed to execute and deliver any and all documents on behalf of the town, and to do and perform all acts and things which he deems that to be necessary and appropriate to carry out the terms of such documents. So there's a motion to adopt that resolution.
I move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion?
No.
Everybody familiar with the process? So again, I will abstain from voting because it sounds like I'm resolving to order myself to do something. Any more discussion?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I'll abstain, but that's still a majority. And the motion carries, and we will send this to the town clerk to certify. Okay, thank you. Next, we got a request from Trinity Retreats Center, talking about traffic down in their part of the world on Lower River Road. Trinity Retreat Center, as people may know, is unusual in that it is a place with a significant amount of pedestrian traffic. It's also on a road that dead ends at their property, but there is a town road that goes through it. And they do have buildings that are fairly close to the road. So they have requested putting some portable speed bumps along in 3 points on Lower River Road. Historically, I've not been in favor of speed bumps on town roads. We have used other devices. In fact, as an aside, we did get a mobile flashing your speed sign device through the Council of Governments, and we've installed that up on, I believe that's up on Great Hollow Road now. It's going to come down to Cornwall Village. It's similar to the ones that are in West Cornwall and Cornwall Bridge. But anyway, the Trinity Retreat Center wants to try these and use them only in the spring, summer, and fall, and not when there's snow on the ground. So these are movable, and they would go back to regular road when that happens. They're going to check and maintain them. I think we've gotten their explanation. I've asked them for an insurance certificate for anything that happens with these, as well as to post the road to warn traffic that there are these things in the road. The posted speed down there, I think right now is 15. And the director there said that is not closely followed by people, and having so many people use the road to get from building to building, he feels a significant hazard. So I'll throw that idea open to the board for discussion. Any thoughts?
Are these speed bumps going to be on the Lower River Road that's close to the covered bridge, or is it down further, closer to their facility?
It's absolutely on the section of road that is bounded on both sides by Trinity. So it'll be inside their gates. I believe there's gonna be one up by the caretaker's house where they have a bunch of young students. And then there'd be a couple more down by the building itself. No, we're not putting these on any roads.
On the town roads. I have no objection then. That's fine.
Yeah, I agree.
It sounds like they're making a decision that's good for them. That
Right.
makes sense for their use. I was afraid they were going to be encumbering West Cornwall, and that was going to be my reservation, Gordon.
No, I think this is a very particular case of a lot of people in a fairly, for Cornwall, congested area where the land on both sides is owned by the same organization who has been very cooperative with the town, and we want to see them flourish safely. And again, I think I'll write something that we will give them permission to try it for the summer and see how it goes. If it doesn't work, or if we have more problems, if we create more problems than we solve, which unfortunately sometimes happens, we will not probably do it again next year. I think it might not be a bad thing to just do it on a trial basis, as it is unusual, and have insurance and warning. Okay, but you do see these like occasionally in like shopping centers and things where there's real trying to slow the traffic down. Okay, so we'll try that. So all in favor of granting their request, say aye.
Aye.
Next we have Trinity. We have Memorial Day schedule. We have a very small but dedicated Memorial Day observance committee. I have talked to the VFW, and they are authorized to play a limited role this year. They were not able to attend things last year. So what we thought of, and talking to our COVID emergency management team, of having a, we did not feel it was advisable to have our usual large celebration on the green, because there are still cases. I think in this last month, we've got 2 more cases in town, and not everybody's gonna be vaccinated by May 30th. So the thought is to do something a little special, and that would be have a mobile parade that would start with cooperation from the observances that have taken place traditionally. Start in North Cornwall and basically go past the cemeteries, not all the cemeteries, because there's some ones that are off the beaten track, but off the major cemeteries. So we'd start in North Cornwall, where they have an observance at 9:30, go to Cornwall Hollow, then go down to West Cornwall, where they've had the Seamen's Memorial, where they throw a wreath off the covered bridge. And that didn't happen last year, so we would get that in, start that again, and then head for Cornwall Bridge, where there is a cemetery with Revolutionary War veterans, as are in other cemeteries. And there are veterans from most wars and most of these cemeteries. Then we'd head back to Cornwall Village for a small observance on the green, taps, honor roll, speaker, video. We try to get a schedule. We're going to try to time this, make this all possible. And so if people did want to wave it, we're thinking of a fire truck or 2, maybe the ambulance, maybe our brand new town truck, which is big and red and shiny, flags all around. So also to warn people, if they see this unusual parade, that's what's going on. There's not an emergency. But again, take the parade to the graves of veterans who served the country well. And hopefully next year we'll go back to our regular observance. But anyway, at least this has something for the major cemeteries, resting places of veterans. It covers the 3 villages and most of the roads in between, and we'll have some schedule. So if people want to stand down there in the front yards, wave the flag, whatever, as we go by, that might be good. So that's the thought for this Memorial Day, and again, scheduled to follow. And we will have some observance here. We are not encouraging people to attend these observances other than to watch them virtually when they get done and recorded. So that's sort of where we're at this point. And I like the idea because it sort of takes the parade to the far corners of the town, and does something a little unusual in this unusual time. The other thing I'll put out there is the thought that Congresswoman Hayes's office is doing an outreach to veterans and their families. And I think I'll put a thing in the Chronicle about this, that if there are service members or their families that do not have the medals that were earned by that service person, they have a program to get those medals to people, because there are veterans that left the service without their medals and whatever, and their families, or they want them. So that's another little extra unusual thing to honor our service people this year. So we're going to try to get something going on that and publicized and out to our veteran people. Anything else on Memorial Day? Thoughts? Let's see. Tax request. I believe, John, we have a tax request for $139.82 as recommended by the tax collector. I would make a motion that we approve that tax request.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So next we have municipal solid waste. And again, we're getting some data back. We've joined the new coalition materials handling. I hope to have a report on their last meeting for our next meeting. And I think it will be interesting because we have seen there is some we're not quite as busy this spring in town as we were last year, as far as having many people here. We have more people, but we don't have quite as many. So it'll be interesting to see year-to-year numbers as far as our solid waste, our budgeting, what is the new population numbers, and how does that reflect our budgetary matters for solid waste, and again, our ongoing agenda item trying to keep those numbers down. So any other thoughts on municipal solid waste? Okay, public comment. Again, I remind people for public comment to try to direct their comments about issues on this agenda, not about people. And that's about it. So take it away, Jonathan. Are you hosting this part of the show?
Sure. I see Joanne, you've got your hand up. You just have to unmute yourself, Joanne. Nope. There you go.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Well, the meeting didn't turn out to be as long as might have been anticipated when we had to move the public comments. But the state of Connecticut has designated Cornwall as a conservation area, meaning that it considers that our highest priority as a town is to protect our natural resources. And it recognizes that, I think the quote that I found was that Connecticut's natural resources, along with its rural landscapes, have intrinsic values which contribute to the state's high quality of life, end quote. I think as residents of Cornwall, we have a duty, therefore, to be stewards of those natural resources and our rural landscapes so that people throughout the state can enjoy the benefits of them. Now, Mike Chris, who is the selectman in in Harrington, I believe, your counterpart, Gordon, and has recognized that the current regional push to homogenize zoning regulations across the state has the potential to do great harm. And a lot of your other selectmen have said that they consider it problematic. At a recent Northwest Hills meeting that was on Zoom, I watched, and the COG, which is the Northwest Hills Council of Governments, and it's the regional planning organization for this area. Mike Chris said that if we accept this regionalized approach that's being pushed by the COG, there will be, quote, no part of Connecticut undeveloped, end quote. Scary thought. But Gordon, you have been pushing Cornwall's Planning and Zoning Commission to adopt this regional approach that Chris and so many of your other fellow selectmen consider problematic. You were the sole selectman to publicly support this regional push at the COG board meeting. Obviously, you have a strong relationship with the Northwest Hills Council of Governments. You served on their board for several decades. You are also a member of the executive committee of the Northwest Connecticut Economic Development Corporation, which works closely with the COG. In those important roles, you're responsible for allocating significant state and federal grant funds to support these regional initiatives. It is only natural that you'd be invested in these initiatives. Nonetheless, I believe your primary responsibility is to the citizens in the town of Cornwall and to the environment that we all value and like and attracted us here and keeps us here. So I'd ask you to rethink the commitment that Planning and Zoning has made to using a COG template to rewrite Cornwall's home business regulations, a template that does not protect Cornwall's natural resources or rural landscape. Let's go back to the drawing board and see how our own regulations that have served us so well over the years. And as you pointed out, in those 30 years, Cornwall had more home-based businesses than any other town in Litchfield County. I think that was what I heard you say, something I think we should be very proud of. How can we update these rules in innovative ways to promote economic growth in Cornwall? Let's have a robust conversation and invite the public to participate. I know the public participated significantly and had opportunities when the first set of proposals were drawn up, but they were dropped in their entirety. And we have not had any public input to the revised ones. So I know this will take a bit more time and effort, but I believe Cornwall is worth it. And I hope you do too. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. And I know there's a hearing on the regulation. We're finally getting to the public comment period. And I would urge everyone that, I read something the other day that, the level of interest in issues concerning Cornwall are done out of people generally, care about their town. I would ask people to read the town plan that was put together with a lot of work and participation over a 2 or 3 year period. And that's sort of the context in which these regulations are being adopted. And I think, so anyway, just a thought, it's an interesting document. It sort of covers from the grassroots approach, what the community felt is things that should be done in the next 10 years. And it's good reading. It's good to see things in their context. So, Jonathan, you got another public comment?
Bruce Bennett.
Hi, Jonathan, thank you. Selectman, I've been asked to speak for a growing group of residents concerning the Cogswell Bridge. And I was really glad to hear that you are considering taking time before you move forward with any kind of alteration to that bridge. I think many of the people that I've spoken with do have some ideas about how to make it a little bit better than it is, certainly less silvery. So thank you for holding off and not moving forward until we have an opportunity to be able to propose some changes to that bridge. By the way, I have looked into painting galvanized metal, and there are special processes to follow to be able to do that, but that can be done successfully. And I believe we've actually seen that done down in the Coltsfoot Valley, where the metal, and I don't know whether it was galvanized, but the metal's been painted and it looks pretty good. And it has looked pretty good for quite a while, so we appreciate that. In addition to that, I know that there's more bridge work that has to be done. I think the bridge work that you were talking about isn't what this comment is talking about. And that is that if there's going to be more bridge work that involves the details, abutments on both sides, that our group might propose a design that can be utilized in the town that will kind of maintain the integrity that we feel that those old structures have. And in that way, you can see if that won't work both for the residents as well as for the safety of the bridge. We assume that there are state controls over what you can and can't do. But it would seem to me that architecture could certainly overcome the state controls. So thank you for that. And that's the story.
Yeah, and I think again, Bruce, as I said earlier in the meeting, we don't have any major bridge abutment work or replacement work. We've done probably 4 or 5 bridges. And though the big projects are out of the way, what we're doing now is basically maintaining the ones we have for the next little bit. Then we're talking culverts, not bridges, for the foreseeable future. So, and again, we have a variety of bridges that we've done. The thought always was that the work that was done on Cogswell was temporary. And then again, we had, we put in several different designs that are different on our permanent bridges. So anyway, look forward to working with you and hearing how you make paint stick to galvanized, but I'm sure we can figure it out. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Anyone else, if you can raise your hand or unmute yourself and speak up, let me know if there's any more public comment.
I can do reverse public comment. I know I saw Ramon Burke there. I know Terry's not probably too far along, and he did give us detailed thoughts on traffic flows from a biking standpoint, pedestrian standpoint, Cornwall Bridge. And I hope he and others will give us the benefit of their thoughts on Monday night. So anyway, there's reverse public comment.
So Jane Garmy, you can go ahead.
I just wondered, has the town looked into, Toby Canero did some research and found that there are two what seem like very interesting programs, the state local bridge program and a federal local bridge program, which are interested in working with towns to restore historic bridges. And one of those programs pays 50% of the costs, the other pays 80%. And I wondered if the town has looked into utilizing these programs when it comes to restoring bridges.
We've looked at them in the past, and I did see Roger Kane on here, I think earlier, but
I'm still here.
he's still there in the red. Okay, good. I think we have looked at them in the past. In my recollection was that sometimes the state and federal requirements cost more than the funds that were given in a grant. Now, of course, this has to be for a particular project. And who knows, by the time the town thoroughly replaces the Cogswell Bridge and does a complete overhaul and design, certainly that might be a big enough project to get federal and state funds involved. The ones that we've done in town to date probably don't. Some of them are single lane bridges, and if we got state and federal funds, we would then have to make the bridges much bigger than they were historically. I know that's what happened up in Salisbury at the bridge in Amesville, had to go from 1 lane to 2 lanes, even though I pointed out to people that our 1 lane covered bridge miraculously is totally out of compliance with any safety engineering, but doesn't seem to have a huge amount of traffic problems. But that's not the way the laws work. So Rod, do you have any thoughts on state and federal funding? There are matches, grants available. So far, we haven't found the perfect fit for the town on the bridges that we've done.
We have used them in the past on some of our larger bridges. Some of the bridges that Leonard designed and other consulting engineers, they actually applied for the participation from both the federal and state governments. So we have used it. It is available. Cogswell Road is a very small bridge, but it's a very strong bridge. It was built as a state bridge at the time, and it's a very heavy bridge. The design is still in Weathersfield.
You're watching what is now a very boring.
Okay.
And but we have used it in the past. It's still available. When necessary, we'll use it again.
So, and Roger, while you're here, did you catch the part when we talked about the bridges we're doing this summer?
Yes.
And we just thought we just needed more details, scope of work, that kind of stuff, which we probably can get within a 2-week period.
Yes.
Good. Okay, thank you.
I just have one further question. What is the budget? I mean, all of us who live around Cogswell Road are really concerned about trying to get something that is much more in keeping with our road. And we're unhappy at what was spent on the temporary solution last year. What do we have in the budget if as a group we're going to come up and propose a new alternative?
The budget's very limited because we have to do these 4 other bridges that we promised to do as part of our bonding that we did before. So there's very limited funds for that. However, if we're talking about replacing the top rail or painting, that's probably within the scope of a budget, depending on how Bruce finds out it costs to paint.
I think, to be honest, all of us want to do much more than just paint the top rail. We're very concerned about having something that's much more in keeping with the rural nature of Cogswell Road. And, you know, I think there was, as you know, a great deal of upset last year at what took place, and not just at the bridge, but at the railing on the other side of the road, which stretched far beyond anything that was ever there before. So I think we want to look at that also when we come back and present you with a plan.
Okay. Any other comments? John? Still there, John?
Yeah, I was just scrolling through. I see Joanne has another comment. Go ahead, Joanne.
Thank you. Since everyone else had been heard, one of the things, especially as I listened to the comments about the bridge and the concerns about the rural character of the bridge and the community in which you live, and since earlier in the meeting, a letter that was sent in was read, I'd like to, as you do what Gordon suggested, which is read the POCOD. The closing statement there is that our rural character and unspoiled beauty is the foundation for our continued prosperity. And in light of that, I'd like to just read 3 sentences from a letter that was submitted by Jane Harold and her husband, Robert Adzima. They are, I think, the last people to go through the special permit process for planning and zoning. And they wrote, quote, "The process of applying for a special permit was straightforward and reasonable and in no way onerous. In fact, we felt well supported and encouraged throughout the process." And then I just want to read the last closing comment that they said, because I think it's really important as you read the existing regulations versus the new ones. "Properties in Cornwall are far from standardized," they wrote. "An individual review seems an appropriate way to evaluate each permit application. I suppose it takes time and effort on the part of the commission to review and address each proposal, but the character of the town, property values, and the way of life we all enjoy here seems to be worth the time and the effort." And I think the interest that's being expressed by the large number of people attending this meeting, I would urge you all, as you read the proposed regulations based on the COG template versus our existing regulations, which I agree, fine-tune them, be innovative, but don't throw them away. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Thank you.
Okay, Jamie, or let me go, Jamie, and then Ann Zinzer.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Put this down.
some feedback. There we go.
I've heard others referring to the safety net that's in these proposed P&Z changes, and that there's a lot of kerfuffle over nothing, that common sense will prevail using putting into effect these changes. I'd like to know, having lived at one point on Cornwall Hollow Road, where when I yelled off my balcony, I could hear the echo from the other side of the valley, and I was also subject to the Second World War and Third World War reenactments that were happening down off Johnson Road, about which we could do nothing because it was kind of grandfathered in, the right to make as much noise as and to shoot off weapons. Now, I live now with Martine on another road where if I ring a bell, I can hear the echo from across on Dibble Hill coming back. If I understand it, or correct me if I'm wrong, there would not be a special permit process necessary if a neighbor wanted to make modular furniture and employed a saw of some type, a buzz saw,
Yeah.
for 5 or 6 hours a day.
Oh, that's good.
That's how I understand it. Or if somebody on the other side of me wanted to make a sculpture, outdoor sculpture, which required hammering, and was hammering for 6 hours a day. It's my question is, it's normal that I put up with, we all put up with each other mowing lawns. It's not an attractive noise, but we put up with the neighbor having an hour of lawn mowing from time to time. But if that noise were 6 hours a day and it was made by one person working by himself, it seems that it wouldn't require a special permit. In fact, it probably wouldn't even require a zoning permit. And I'm very much concerned about that because I came here 30 years ago to detox from the noise of New York. And for me, I think the greatest, apart from the beauty, the physical beauty of this area, the greatest sensorial reason for my being here is silence, is quiet. And I'm afraid I don't want to give up 5% of that. And I think that is what makes us more than special. It's almost unique. I know of no place so quiet in the Northeast. So if I'm wrong, tell me where I am, and so that I don't have to have the anxieties I do. Thank you to the selectmen.
You're welcome, Jamie. So the thing is, we're supposed to talk about things on our agenda. And again, I think it's really important for people to be in the right forum when they express their opinions. And I don't really want to advocate or defend, regulations that are in front of a public hearing. I think it's important to look, at what is being presented, not what somebody necessarily says is being presented, and then be part of the process. I mean, I said people are going to make themselves heard. They're already making themselves heard. And that's, Tuesday night is the real forum for that. So I don't want to sort of prejudge things or try to influence people in one direction or the other at a selectmen's meeting when the matter is really just about to be heard by planning and zoning. I have my own opinions. I will tell you that the story of the World War II reenactments, the town did actually take an active role in stopping that. We did draw up an ordinance to prohibit or to regulate shooting ranges in town. And it was the prospect of that finally made things stop over there, and not without a certain amount of opposition and lively hearings. If you if you think the planning and zoning hearings are going to be lively, that was a gun rights issue here in Cornwall, early days. So anyway, the town did take action on that, and I'm sure there are going to be safeguards put in place to protect what we cherish. So anyway, I think it's important for people to participate at Tuesday night for those types of issues. Thank you.
Anne? Hold on, give it a second. Hit it once and give it a second to think. Let me see. Let me see. Hold on, I might be able to unmute you from here. Maybe. Hold on. Do you have a mouse? I'm unable to unmute from here. You know, I'm going to stick you. Oh, wait, there you go. You're unmuted.
There was a sign. Yeah, well, I would like to talk now because I'd like to talk to Gordon, wherever you disappeared to. You must be there. Only that Gordon you're very important. You're the selectman. And in the Chronicle, you wrote a letter. And in that letter, you said that really these regulations, which are templates from COG, I gather, I read, that really it was just an evolution from the old zoning regulations that have been worked out over the years and changed over the years and definitely need to be changed in the future. So I just was really confused when I read that letter where Gordon, you said, it's just really goes back to the past. So that's why I'm bringing this up here.
Well, maybe to clarify, just because I have been involved with, I think I said before, I was on planning and zoning in the very far past before I was even a selectman. So I think I've been involved with 4 10-year plans in one capacity or the other. And there's always been, to do these things, some other towns hired, spent a lot of money hiring consultants from wherever. The town, as far as I recall, also has had work groups to take on issues like housing, recreation, natural resources. And so that template of having citizen-driven committees be the power behind changes made in the plan is consistent, absolutely consistent, and absolutely citizen-drawn. And I would, again, maintain, having been part of the process before, that the COG template has maybe some similar goals, because I think if you talk to all the first selectmen in the northwest corner, they're concerned about housing options for younger and older people. They're concerned about having jobs opportunities, especially in the downturn. They're concerned about having access to natural resources. So there's a lot of similarities throughout the different towns, but there's also going to be, wide variations. So again, I would maintain that the town regulations are homegrown, not imported. And I think you will see the deliberations And the plan itself, from which these regulations spring, are locally grown, not imported. So, I mean, you can you can have different opinions, but that's mine. And I was I've been part of these processes for a long time. And we've had different chairs, we've had different commissions, we've had a different set of circumstances that we wrestle with as the world changes, as the town changes.
Well, it better be local and grown up from here, because we all are part of Cornwall and we need Cornwall to make its own decisions. And this is what concerns us.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate your concerns, but I can tell you pretty honestly that at the end of the day, the people voting on these regulations, up or down, are going to be people from Cornwall. The Council of Governments does not ever vote on or adopt local town ordinances or regulations. I mean, there's 21 towns. We talk about things of mutual interest. We don't tell Salisbury how to do their dog pound or Torrington what to do, how to revitalize their industrial zone. We work together, but there's not a dictate that comes down from the top. Thank you.
All right, any more public comments? Orion, trying to unmute you there.
Hi, can everyone hear me?
Yep.
Oh, thank you for taking my question. Just a suggestion, Gordon, the bridge, the Cogswell Bridge we've been discussing. I drive by it all the time, and I could see why many find it somewhat unsightly, especially, when you go by the bridge that, I don't know, being new to the area, I'm not sure who everyone is, but I know that first house, the white one on the corner, they always make such an effort to put that nice flower garden in. And you drive by and you always look forward every year to this flower garden going in. And they put, again, much effort into it. And now you kind of have this guardrail in its way. So as I drive around, getting familiar with the area, I've come across a couple bridges that I've seen where the community has modified it somewhat. Now, I know someone had mentioned, painting from metal. I think that's sort of the low end. It's a solution, but it's the low end. And when I look at the bridge, I notice, most of the bones are now there. The pillars coming from the ground, they're all cemented in. And really what it kind of needs is to unbolt, I think, the railings and maybe put up some nice wood. There's wood, big, thick beams that you can put in. That seems to be the solution for areas that they're trying to dress up. And I mean, with the wooden beams, they would probably be like 12 inches by 12 inches, real thick things. And then you can even carve circles in the top of these pillars where they can put flower pots on it if you really want to make it cutesy. But I just thought I'd just throw that in that, I mean, I have pictures that I have taken when I've driven around. I don't know where you would send those to for ideas, but that was just some input that I thought of throwing in.
Okay. Thank you, Jim. Send us some pictures.
And that would be to you directly?
Sure. Yep.
Thanks, Gordon.
You're welcome. Thank you. Any other comments? How's the house?
Leela, anything
Any more comments?
from the press?
Press.
Oh,
Or questions from the
from the-
press?
From the press, no,
Oh.
Leila Hawkins, just fine. Thank you.
Good. Good to see you.
Ruth, you're all good?
Yep, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. All right.
Okay,
Okay. Here are no more questions.
going once, going twice. All right, I think we're good.
Okay, all right. Thank you, John, for keeping it all organized.
Jonathan.
Thank you all for showing up and caring about your town. All right.
Oh, wait,
take-
was there
folks.
one more from the Shane Wise, or are you guys waving?
Waving.
Okay.
Wait,
Good night.
good. All right, everybody's waving. All right, good night, everybody.
Good night.
Just glad to be here.
Okay, glad to have you here.
Thank you.
you.
Wonderful.
All right, take care, folks.
Night.